Hello and welcome to the Great Unexplained Debate. I'm Carl Beattie, your host for the next hour, and I'm going to be asking questions to my selected panel of people as opposed to animals or ghosts. What we say you see, so mistakes like that are in, and mistakes like that are in too, and that. I could go on forever, but I won't. I'd just like to introduce you to my panel. My first guest tonight is the wonderful Phil Wyman, a very good friend of mine, and I'm very pleased to have you back, mate. Thank you very much. Founder of Dead Haunted Nights. Going very well, is it?
Very well, thank you, yes.
As so it should. Paranormal investigator, television presenter. You've been in numerous television shows.
Well...
and author.
Yes. All right, yes. Not bad at all, thank you. Yeah.
Well, I'm sitting right next to Fred. Fred?
To Fred?
Fred.
Who?
Well, Fred's normally sitting next to me. Fred. No one knows Stuart's here yet. Everyone thinks it's Fred, and they won't find out until it's there, but I've kind of given that away. But sitting next to Phil is the gorgeous Sarah Woodward. Hello.
Hello.
Sarah, how are you? Thank you very much for coming back. Sarah, a paranormal expert in the paranormal, of expertise in the paranormal. This is going on so far. Stay tuned. I'm really pleased I got up this morning. I'm starting to wish that I'd had a relapse and didn't. Founder of White Rose Paranormal. How's that going?
It's going good, thank
Have
you.
you got anything coming up?
Not at the moment, too busy with Dead Haunted Nights at the moment, I am.
Ah, well, yeah, busy. And next to me, I haven't seen him for a little while because he's been very, very busy.
Very busy.
The legend known as Stuart Torrevell.
Well, thank you.
Television cameraman, paranormal investigator, all-round good guy, and mate.
Hey.
How are you, mate?
I'm very well, thanks. Thanks
busy,
for having me
what
on.
have you been
I've been very busy. Lots and lots of filming.
What have you been filming,
Oh,
Stuart?
I can't tell you.
Oh,
Top stuff, top secret, you know. You wouldn't know about that kind of stuff. I've been in television.
No, I wouldn't know anything about anything.
No.
I'm just sitting here. Right, let's get to the actual debate part of this. I'd like to start with, see where it goes, past life regression.
Oh.
I thought that was what we were doing anyway. Starting with stuff and see where it goes.
Well, yeah, it kind of works that way, doesn't it? The past life regression, I'm going to put that on there.
Yeah.
Because it's been done another best. Past life regression. The one thing I just want to tell everyone at home, you might hear a whirring noise. The whirring noise is only there because we have the fans on. Now, all I want to tell you at home, the reason we've got the fans on is it's so hot in this studio, we actually can't cope with it. But the truth of the matter is, we forgot to turn them off.
Shall we turn them off?
No, I think we should leave them on because I'm actually quite enjoying it.
It's kind of a more personal and interactive experience.
That's right, yeah.
You're in the room with us.
If everyone at home would hum at this present moment, you won't even notice that. Let's past life regression. Let me just go again, as I normally do, just one by one. What are your thoughts on past life regression? Sarah, what do you think of the whole past life regression thing?
I've tried to be regressed, I will admit this, but it didn't actually work for me.
You can admit it, it's not like an AA meeting where you...
No.
Sarah Woodward and I've been regressed.
I did actually want to be regressed because I witnessed what I believe was a ghost, and I wanted to be regressed back to that moment so that I could try and explain it to myself and look at the rational.
So you thought you were...
I thought that I'd seen a ghost. I believe...
Sorry, I knew I should have got up early.
It's the fun.
Earlier. I thought you said, I thought I was a ghost.
No.
How does that work? Being regressed to be a ghost? But you've never seen a ghost?
Yeah, and I wanted to be regressed back to the moment so I could relive it again.
Oh, so you weren't looking for a past life, you were just looking at going back?
No, just to be regressed back to that moment, yes.
That's interesting. I've never thought of that before. That's interesting. I'll talk about that in a bit. But Phil, what's your...
Past lives. Now, we're talking to reincarnation and that kind of thing, aren't we, to find out
Allegedly.
if we've been born before and that kind of thing. Now, I'm a massive admirer of Arthur C. Clarke. And,
lovely Arthur.
Yep.
Brilliant. And on one of his shows, he did a special where he kind of gave a points system and awarded points to phenomena, like ghosts, poltergeists, that kind of thing. One of them was reincarnation. And I think it was out of a score of 10. I might be wrong, but it was certainly a low score that he gave it. He gave it something like a 2 on the belief scale. And now, if he doesn't actually think that reincarnation exists, who am I to argue? The man with the genius.
In fact, that episode is actually on the Unexplained channel.
Oh, there you have it.
Watch it. All the
Watch
other
it.
episodes as well.
Yes.
That one's in one too. But no, I know what one you mean. And I'm a huge fan of Arthur C. Clarke. I think he was one of the... I think the founders of what we do.
Absolutely.
The first people to actually sit there and let's not just accept it, let's investigate it.
Yeah.
Stuart, what's your opinion?
Well, it's something like this, you can talk about this for hours and hours. I mean, I've never been regressed, but I've been hypnotised. I was hypnotised when I was about 10 years of age. When I was 10 by the doctor. The doctor sent me to a hypnotist in the same clinic to control my asthma, because I used to suffer with really bad asthma attacks, you see. So for me to kind of calm my nerves, he said, come in, we'll hypnotise you.
Did you do nerves calming and you work almost haunted?
But
obviously worked.
Yeah,
I sat there for 40 minutes, and there was never any point where I thought, I'm out of it. I was totally there. I understood what he was saying. I came out of it, and it didn't do anything. It didn't do anything. When he was telling me to do things, right, when I click my fingers, you'll come out of it, I just came out of it naturally. Because he told me to do it. Yeah. And I explained to him after, that it didn't do anything, because I was in a group of 6 people, you see, so I didn't want to look silly and embarrassed in front of other people, so I just kind of went with the flow until later on I said it didn't do anything.
The big one is past life regression. What is the difference between past life regression and being hypnotised? Because are they not a very, very similar thing? See, I've been hypnotised. I went somewhere to be hypnotised, to stop doing something, and I stopped doing it. But I didn't believe it was going to work, and that was my point. I didn't believe it was going to work, and I didn't go under. I'm convinced, because when the lady finished, she said, and I thought, I'm going to give it 100% here. I'm going to listen to every word she says. But I never went under. And when I finished, she said, how long do you think you've been here? And I said, probably about an hour. And she looked at me and said, oh, yeah, that's how long you've been here. And I thought it didn't, but it stopped me doing what I was doing, and I tried everything else to stop before, and I couldn't do it. So it was that point that it worked. For whatever reason, or the fact that it cost 300 quid maybe made me think it was too much money. But I don't know. But whatever it was, it worked. But I don't think I went under. But what's the difference between regression and hypnotism?
I think they're both the same. I think with regression, you're going back to who you may have think you used to be, or you may have thought you were in a previous life. With hypnotism, you're either trying to stop smoking, stop biting your nails, or calm down,
I think
things like that. Exactly. And I think that's the other difference.
It's like Stuart said. I think that hypnotism is it's a cure for something, or a preventative to something, isn't it? Past life regression, or past regression, or whatever you call it, is trying to uncover an unknown side to
your past.
But don't you have to be in a hypnotic state to be able to do that, though?
I don't know.
To be able to go back?
But that's what it is. Isn't
the
methodology the same? I mean, it's almost, because with regression, you're emptying your mind so it can be filled with whatever, and with hypnotism, you're emptying your mind as well. And I think there's this point that my only thing with regression and hypnotism is that once it's done to that point, is you're susceptible to coercion. You can be, people can easily feed you stuff subconsciously. So when you wake up, you will actually still think that. And we've all seen the hypnotist stage shows where they eat an onion and think, pretend it's an apple, and I'm glad those things aren't on the telly anymore. But it's still a way of you manipulating your mind to such a degree that under that sort of state, you can be made to think you're anyone else. And after the break, we're going to come back and talk a little bit more about it. So please don't go away and join us in a couple of minutes. Hello and welcome back to the Great Unexplained Debate. Now you can stop humming now, because listen, the fans have been turned off, which means we'll all start sweating in a couple of next 5 or 10 minutes.
That's how much we care about the viewers.
That's how much we care about you at home, or you at home. You've heard it from us. Past life regression. I still think that the problem is with it, you're in a certain state of mind where you can be fed information and believe that. Because I think this past life regression, I mean personally, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I think anyone who does past life regression, great way of earning a lot of money by basically achieving nothing. Because you end up with someone in Boadicea, Wellington, Napoleon's. Actually, why do they call that period Napoleonic? Why don't they call it Wellingtonic? Because Wellington won.
Well, there you go.
Why would you want to call it Napoleonic? He lost.
Campaign for that.
He lost. He was French and he lost. Like Agincourt, they lost. Anyway, I'll go back on. But yeah, why are they always famous people? They're Hitler. You never hear of someone saying, "I was a rent boy."
Absolutely.
Well,
No,
they
don't
must have
know.
been. I mean, at the end of the day, if we do believe in
Were you?
past life, it was a past life. It was a long time ago. It was this life. It was just a long time ago. It seems like another one.
Are they con men? Is that what they're doing? Apart from the other differences, they haven't got a big audience. Their audience is one person.
But then again,
Is it just another way of them making money?
It's that point that I can't say that with past life regressionists, I don't hold them in the same disdain as I hold
No,
them
that's
in
right.
humans.
Yeah.
Because I think that past life regressionism is, I think sometimes they probably believe they're doing something. They're no different to hypnotists and all of that. I still don't think they're tapping into your past life. I think they're tapping into a subconscious that you would like to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, I remember a fancy dress party where you turned up as a Roman.
I did, yeah.
And
I remember that.
Roman centurions of that.
Being a heterosexual male, you look pretty hot.
Thank you very much.
If I was ever going to turn, that's the time I would have done it.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I still remember it to this day. As everyone at home now knows.
What did you turn up as?
I can't remember what I was there at, but I know you ended up having a fight in Manchester. You dressed up as a gangster.
I got my nose busted.
Anyway,
I was Al Capone.
but that was. But this is what I mean is that surely if you want to be somebody under that state, you will probably become that person. Now you were saying you wanted to be regressed to try and remember a specific moment.
Mm-hmm.
See, I've not heard of that before. The only regression I've ever heard of is that past life regression, not regressed back to a state. Obviously they do it in the police force because when they get somebody to try and remember a licence plate or...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think being quite a grounded and sceptical to an extent, I witnessed something that I just could not explain. I witnessed an apparition of a man in front of me, and as much as I tried to rationalise it, I just couldn't. But it was only like a split-second thing, and it's one of these things that's constantly tormented me, I suppose, because I can't rationalise it, and I want to be able to do that. I wanted to be able to try and experience it again, and the only way to try and do that would be to attempt to be regressed back to the moment. And I don't know whether or not it just didn't work for me, whether I'm not susceptible to being hypnotised, or I wasn't relaxed enough, but it to me it didn't feel like I'd gone back to that moment.
So you think you found that, and you certainly didn't answer the questions you wanted to
No,
answer?
it didn't. No, unfortunately not.
Have you ever tried?
No.
No.
No, I don't think I'm the kind of the right material for it. But no, I'm not too convinced that you can, reincarnation exists. I think it's something probably people saying, "Oh yeah, I used to be a sailor back in the 1700s," and that kind of thing. It might be something to do with like a memory retentive DNA gene from their ancestors that's passed on through the lines.
See, this is, I mean, that's obviously going into the scientific look at this, and that fascinates me. The fact that why can't you have some sort of memory retentive DNA that's come down from your forefathers down to you, and I think that's more likely to what it is, because I mean you've never been regressed, have you? I mean,
Never.
apart from that time when you were 10.
No, I've never been regressed, and I don't think I want to be. Neither, because I don't believe I was anything else before this life. But then...
Stuart, you can never be more than you can be.
No, but then I've watched shows on Arthur C. Clarke where there was someone who lived a previous life.
But can you imagine? Can you imagine how kind of distressing or upsetting it could possibly be if you go and get yourself into a regressionist, sit down, you go through the regression, and you're just a normal guy, you've got a rather boring job, kind of thing, and you find out that during your regression you were the king of Egypt or something like that. How annoyed would you be?
I would go back and claim all those jewels from the British Museum.
Rightly so.
They are mine. I am Tutankhamun.
And you were only on a low-paid wage.
Yeah. And you were a king in the past life. You'd probably go out and
And all your treasures are in a museum somewhere.
Yeah, especially if you tried it on and it fit. All the stuff. No. But this is the point with, you see, I think past life regression is just ridiculous. I think I kind of think It's a great waste of an afternoon.
Yes,
to go and
I
see a
agree.
past life
Yeah,
regressionist.
yeah.
And I just don't understand the people who do it, because I think, you know,
Well,
why do you want to waste a life pretending that you can take people back to a life that never really existed in the first place? But also, you know, past life regression means that there is reincarnation, or there is reincarnation.
yes.
And I think the reincarnation argument has got to fall dead right at the first hurdle, purely because if reincarnation exists, there can only be the same amount of things in this planet at any one time. I know people sort of, because my first thing was the same amount of humans, they said, well, no, you come back as an ant, you come back as a...
No, that's a lot of rubbish, that, isn't it? Yeah.
But even if you did, that would mean there can only be the same amount of animals, insects, birds, people, fish on this planet all the time. Because if you die, you have to come back as something. So when that ant dies and a rabbit dies, you could come back as a rabbit, and a rabbit could come back as another ant.
Is this what you think?
Do
Or
I?
what I was going to say, yeah, because...
No, I mean, I think it's ridiculous. What I'm saying is that's my point is that reincarnation can't happen. It can't.
You can't
happen.
have 7 Napoleon.
Well, you can't have 7 opponents, but you
Surely.
think if there was 100 people on the planet and they all died and they're all reincarnated, they can only be reincarnated, their spirits, because there are only 100 of them. They can only come back as 100 people.
You won't come back as 99 of one thing and one...
But the thing is but you look at the population. You know, if there's 100 people to start with, okay, which at one point, you know, there probably was only 100 people. And
I reckon there's less than that at one point.
But there's
There had to be 2, didn't there?
Yeah, I'm going back a little bit later after the 2, all right? But then there's like 1 million later on. Well, how can these 100 have died and been reincarnated to create 1 million people? They can't have done. So spirit has to be born, has to be born from something. And therefore, it can never die. So therefore, why is it continuously being reborn? And where is it being reborn from? So have you turned off yet?
I hear where you're coming from.
I've confused myself. No, I haven't. But you know what I'm trying to say?
No.
Everyone at home's going,
At the time.
Put kettle on.
put the kettle on low, I'm going away from the no, what I'm trying to say is that if to reincarnate something has to die for something to be born.
Mm-hmm.
And something to be born, something has to die, which means there's 1 minus to 1 plus. So therefore, there can only be the same amount of things on this planet at any one time.
So basically, if 100 people die, there should be 100 people reincarnated.
Exactly. There can't be 100
So
of
it can't, and it would stay at that figure.
Absolutely, constantly. I mean, I could have said it like that.
I think the practice do.
So if an elephant dies, it's got to be born somewhere else, then, hasn't it?
Yeah, whether
okay.
be born an ant, but to be born an ant,
Yes.
yeah, then maybe an ant has to die and to be born something else.
To balance out.
And can you imagine doing all the organising for that?
God.
Could you imagine being regressed back and then finding out that you were an ant?
Yeah, but how would you know you were an ant?
Exactly.
Is this the Twilight Zone we're filming here, or what? I've got a headache.
This conversation
Enjoy the rest of the show.
it's getting ridiculous, this conversation, isn't it?
This is. I mean, when you look at this, we're debating this, the past life regression, and you think we're laughing at it, and it's confusing, because that just shows how ridiculous the whole reincarnation, past life regression thing is. I mean, I know there are people out there who do past life regressions, and bless them. You know, I mean, you know,
It's not an attack on that.
It may
you might as
be.
well go and lick the pavement and do as much good.
It may be ridiculous to you and I, but for the person out there who has lived before and has got proof they've lived before, and they've spoken to other people who have backed up, yes, the dates and names,
It's only proof.
they might think you're ridiculous.
They probably just think I'm ridiculous after what I've just said.
You know, what we need is someone on
board.
board here who we can talk to and interview and actually say, right, you prove to us, and you bring some pictures in.
There is no proof. There can't be any proof. Because if there was proof, we would be sitting there believing that proof would be out there. It's, you know, just going back to the proof of ghosts, proof of mediumship, the proof of, you know, I mean, we know there's proof of hypnotism, but that's not what we're talking about. But you know, proof of regression, there's no proof out there, because if it was, we would understand. We would be sitting here saying, "Oh well, this is the proof."
We wouldn't even be talking about the topic or anything, would we?
Absolutely. Well, on this show, we probably still would.
Probably.
But
No, I see what you're saying, yeah,
We wouldn't even go anywhere near it, because it'll be a proven science, and it's not a proven science. It's something that's it might, you know, I think it's absolutely ridiculous. But if that's the case, how do you stop it? I mean, because there are people out there who will believe that they were Napoleon. We've done a show where we had somebody regress who thought they were Bodicea.
Yeah.
But you talk about being Bodicea, and they won't be able to tell you anything about Bodicea apart from what is on the internet.
Yeah, that's where it kind of falls dead, isn't it?
But Yvette was regressed. She's been regressed a couple of times, and the first time she did it, she said it just didn't work. She was spouting stuff off that she said, but they were just the first things that were coming into her mind. They fit the location we were at, but then she said they would do because I'm thinking of the location, and she said I'm thinking of a door opening, and who would be standing there because I'm in a location that's 500 years old, and I'm going to think that it's somebody else there. And another time she did it, it was actually quite horrifying because this wasn't so much a regression, but she did some automatic writing, but it was kind of a regression with it. And I mean, the best thing I can say, she basically had a fit. We couldn't get her out of it. And I mean, I blame the alleged psychic that was with us at the time, who clearly bit off more than he could chew, by saying, "Oh, I can do this. Don't you worry. Do a bit of automatic writing, and I'll regress at the same time." Couldn't get her out of it, and you've never seen somebody back away as quickly as they possibly could because they've got the situation where they couldn't get out of. And I'd take Yvette away, and she's been in an asylum ever since. No, I'd take her away and basically get her out of it myself.
So does Yvette believe in kind of regression then?
I don't know. She still thinks that was some sort of fit, or she was tired and she just didn't know what she was going on. But what she doesn't remember is who she was actually slapping me.
Slapping you, I saw that.
Yeah. When I was trying to get her out of it, she was actually going for me. And again, you get this ridiculous. Oh, she was regressing to a woman that was being abused by a man. I mean, absolute hogwash. But again, that's the danger of these people who regress, who don't know what they're doing, and they can cause a lot of damage. Please join us after break, and we'll be right back. Hello, welcome back to part 3 of this. We're talking about past life regression, and we kind of were stumbling at the beginning because I think we basically realised it was all a load of rubbish. Can I say that?
You
just did.
It's a load of rubbish.
Yeah, write in if you disagree with me.
It was fun though.
Again, I kind of, I've been a witness to alleged regression, and I just think it can be dangerous. I think you can force people into a hypnotic state when you aren't trained enough to do it. You just think you can, and I think that's probably what happened to that she was forced into a hypnotic state by someone who really clearly didn't know what they were doing, in my opinion. But where do we go from it? I mean, do we just simply forget about past life regression? I mean, there are these stories where people go through a room in a house and suddenly they've been teleported back
somewhere,
years, and they find some hidden passage somewhere that no one else knew. I mean, there are stories of that out there. What do you make of those?
Well, I've never heard of that. I'm not saying it's never happened.
Read more. You need to read more. Read this pen. Look, it happened. Look.
I'm sure it did. I've just never come across that subject. Have you, Phil? People walking into a room and all of a sudden they're in the same room but they're elsewhere.
Time slips.
Kind of time slips. Yeah, I did an article on time slips once before, but I don't know. Are they picking up on something from the building, which then kind of goes back to being kind of a psychic thing, which we mentioned a few episodes back, as it were. And that's a whole different ballgame. We don't want to go through that.
Oh, no, of course.
But is it that kind of we're looking at at times that we've done lots of time-slip experiments, and we've done it on when you're on the show. We've done time-slip experiments, and I don't know if have you done them with White Rose?
No, I've not tried.
I mean, they're quite difficult to get. You usually have to get a lot of people dressed up in period costumes, which is kind of difficult to do really. But a lot of these people have said, they walk back, and sometimes it can be World War II. They can be in the middle of a World War, of a dance. World War II.
Again, I mean, I don't know if it's kind of slightly off kilter with the topic, but obviously, being in the business I'm in, I do watch a lot of programs based on the paranormal, and one of the programs I watched, had, I think it was an astronomer or some scientist or whatever it was. I forget what it was. So sorry about that. But he was talking about that some people actually believe that the mind and memory can exist outside of the human body. And if that's the case, they were kind of debating on whether those memories could then be taken on board by somebody else.
Oh, right, I see.
So if that's the case,
So,
it might be his. Yeah, exactly.
So they're saying that a memory of something specific,
Yeah.
is that for me, could
Yeah.
exist
Almost
to be
outside.
picked up by somebody else?
Yeah, because at the end, again, it goes back to the fact that kind of everything on the planet and the universe is made up of energies, and energies could perhaps, like for like, interact with each other.
Right.
And bond with each other.
I can kind of, I mean,
I didn't make it. I'm just saying what this chap was talking about. I didn't make it up.
This is now what you believe in. No, this is.
It's interesting.
Funny, I can actually understand that because that's that whole energy thing, isn't it? You know, if you believe that energy there, I mean, thought is thought and energy. If it is, can it exist outside of your own thought pattern? I mean, that's that. I've not even heard of that before, but I love it. I love it.
quite clever.
I'm gonna pretend it's mine. I think.
Why not?
well, then what happens then? So if Carl's thinking something and it's outside, is that then going to get passed on to me, or is it?
I'm not saying it's going to get passed on to every person that
That would be
encounters
great.
it. Yeah. It'd be scary.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if people are actually ready for that.
Not really what's in my mind.
But whether it's a certain particular person that can pick up on it or what, I don't know.
I've got to say, I mean, if anyone could pick up what was in my mind, everyone would just be walking around the streets going just constantly, because that's generally what goes on in my mind. Still going on now. It's nice. It's a nice place to be.
Is it?
It's a nice place to be.
Yeah.
But you know, it's kind of that isn't that sort of encroaching on the psychic thing, where psychics can pick up on.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
You know, because we've had psychics say that if you think of a fake ghost, they will pick up on your thought patterns and come up with a fake ghost. Obviously, it's just a ruse for them to go, whoops, been found out, must make something up to get out of it. Because most of the time, if they could pick up on that, they would have originally picked up on me thinking, you're fake, go home. But they never pick up on that. And do you know what I mean? It almost seems to be pick up. But if it is out there, maybe it is something that people can pick up on.
I mean, I think in the context he was talking about, I think he was talking about memories and thoughts from the deceased body and brain. So, which is probably why. But then again, if you think about it, I don't see why that should make a difference. Should it really?
Yeah, I mean, again, our whole careers, our whole lives are based around spirits. We're not saying they exist. We're out there to investigate them, to look for them, to try and find them. So and therefore, we don't know what a spirit is. We don't know what a soul is. I mean, I know someone was talking about like the mind. We don't know what the mind is. We can't picture the mind. And someone actually said quite cleverly, I wish it had been me, but they said that trying to look inside the brain to find the mind is like trying to take an engine apart to find speed.
Right.
That's good, isn't it?
You need everything together for it all to work and for it to be. And I wonder whether that's with spirit when it leaves the broken vessel of our bodies. That where does it go? I mean, could that be the spirit connected that mind?
That be the spirit or the soul?
Is that what it is? Is a spirit just a memory of something that's gone that is out there waiting to be picked up by someone else? And that's where people think.
And if that kind of theory or whatever thoughts are anywhere near to being a possibility, then there might be those kind of memories floating around from hundreds and hundreds of thousands of years ago that nobody's actually picked up upon at the moment until suddenly it gets in there and they go, I'm glad to see you.
Are you?
Yeah.
That was quick. You just kept it and you went straight into being honest.
That's it.
Great.
Yeah.
So in fact, I could actually, if I go down to some prehistoric site, I could without warning, bop Yvette on top of the head with a big club and drag her into a cave somewhere to be my wife, even though she already is.
Is that how you did it to start with?
That's the only way I could do it. Well, let's face it, I ain't going to get a girl easy, am I? Do you know what I mean? it's got to be like that. It's probably unconsciously or not at all. But yeah, I mean, let's move on from this kind of thing, because at the end of the day, I think we've worked out that the partial life regression is nuts, and I think that it's either hypnotism or not. And I think your point may have been better to be hypnotised. Yeah, it's that getting the registration plate of something and to help the police out. And I would love to try and do that with a good hypnotist, to actually see if you could get back to that point and see what you saw. Because I think you get better from a hypnotist than you would one of these rather funny past life regressionists. But I think that time slips, I mean, we've done a lot of time slip experiments, and it's still in the same genre, but do they work, or are we just planting information on ourselves to make it work?
Oh, that's the big question, isn't it?
That's probably exactly what we're doing, aren't we? That's probably exactly what we're doing.
Well, I know you threw that out.
To you.
To me.
To you.
To me, to you. Right. As I say, are we, doing the experiments, planting those thoughts in your own heads, as it were, or are we picking up from actual past life thoughts? It's a difficult question to answer. It's going to be, you're going to find 50% of people on one side, 50% of the people on the other side. But I would say that you're probably putting the thoughts in your own head.
Oh, sure.
But so, do you think that some sort of time slip experiment, easy for me to say, would work? It works in a paranormal environment, such as if you are in a World War II hall where dancers used to be held and people have been seen there. Do you think by dressing up, by your whole team dressing up and almost being part of that era would help, or do you think it's just too...
Well, there have been reports that, for instance, there's a ghost walk that's quite local to where I live, and they've reported, because they all get dressed up in the costumes, that they've actually had phenomena take place because they're dressed up. And I did actually say no, that we hadn't tried it. We have tried it, but not in the costumes. We've tried by playing music.
Oh, right, yeah.
Did it in a dance hall, actually. And then we did it in the underground bunker. We played 50s music in there as well, through the tannoy systems throughout the building to start off, before the investigation took place. I can't say whether or not it would produce any results. It's difficult to say, but it's certainly an avenue that we wanted to go down and to try. It's like everything, we want to try different things to see if we can get results from it. With regards to time slips, the other explanation has been that it could be the surroundings, that the memories have sunk into the walls and there's a playback.
Yeah, the stone tape kind of theory again, isn't it?
Yeah.
Always comes down to that, doesn't it?
But do you think it helps, dressing up to do a time slip experiment?
I've never tried it personally, but if you're trying to, if you're trying to make contact with any spirits out there from that particular era that you're going to be trying the experiment based on, you probably might get I don't know. I don't think it'd work, to be honest. No.
Stuart, what do you think?
Well, doesn't that happen every weekend when people have fancy dress parties? People
not
dress
necessarily in the right environment, though.
They might not. Well, they may be. They may not be. You know, but would we have not heard of that by now from other groups out there who have dressed up, say maybe in an old medieval hall or a castle where people have gone and, in their old gowns and dressed up as Queen Elizabeth, and...
Tatton Park do a really great, and in summer they do these fantastic reenactments. They have these great sort of fairs, medieval fairs, and they go great. And that's the right era for that place. And I thought, and a lot of people, they dress up and they come and you see jousts. You see, it's superb. I love going every year, and you kind of think, I wonder why. I've not even thought of that, but surely that could happen if there, because these things are seen when nothing's there, so you'd think they'd be seen more when that's there, because that's probably similar to what it would have been like in its heyday.
People reported anything.
The medieval.
Yeah, but then you've got to kind of look at the point of why would any spiritual ghost be more willing to show themselves just because you're dressed up as a person from there?
Well, because they may believe they're still in that.
Yeah, a familiar person or
I know, but they have been seen without people dressing up.
Yeah, but do ghosts know the dead?
Would it be that the point? Are you looking at the ones who may not know the dead? So they're trying to actually think, hang on, this is a great opportunity for me to get. But then again, this is.
It goes on and on and on. You're going into another topic now, aren't you?
You start thinking to yourself, I've got, why would they not show themselves when the normal day-to-day things are going on? Because just because someone's got a car, I'm not going to show them because they've got a car. I'm going to wait for them to be horse-drawn carriages before I come. Or maybe there's an energy thing that gathers when they're there because everyone is thinking of that, their mindset is that, and their minds are And if your mind is an energy, that the spirit energy can latch onto that and maybe use that as a source of a conduit to show itself. But then again, there are so many these sort of things happening around the UK, especially throughout the summer. You'd think it would show themselves more.
Yeah,
then again, do they not show themselves more? Because everyone's dressed up as
you don't see them. Yeah.
But anyway, we're going to come back after the break. Please join us on this very, very scintillating show. Hello, welcome back to the Great Unexplained Debate. This is the last part of this debate about past life regression, and we're actually talking to see whether time slip experiments work. It's easy for me to say. I had a late night last night. I should have gone to bed earlier. I'm just wondering, we've talked about sort of fairs, medieval fairs and all of that, and we just said that they don't show themselves as much, but then that point came to me just before the break, that little bit of enlightenment, thinking, well, how do I know they don't? Because they wouldn't be seen or recognised even.
They just mingle.
They would just mingle with the others. But
they would, yeah, because again, just touching on the point that a lot of people probably don't realise that they probably see a ghost as a misty white sheet of something walking across the.
Yeah. Would it be a solid object like we are, exactly. or would it be an object that you could see through?
Yeah. I've never tested actually.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're solid.
Most reports from people who have seen ghosts and apparitions actually can't tell the difference between a solid object and the ghost, as a normal person and the ghost, until they do something strange. So, like you say, there could be banquets going on all around the country based on like the Elizabethan times. Could be snided with ghosts, for what we know.
It could, that is actually a real thought. You kind of think that maybe that's as investigators, that's something we should try to do.
Or dress up as Elizabethan.
I was kind of thinking of going to a medieval fair.
Yeah, but having said that, having said, you're talking about, sorry to interrupt, you're talking about, like spirits coming back. Well, what about objects, everyday objects like a table and a chair, a coal scuttle or something like that? I mean, yeah, but having said that, people have actually seen vehicles going down the road with someone in, an old
person, isn't it? The vehicle's actually attached to the spirit of the person who's in it.
Yeah, but it's still a vehicle, though, isn't it? That's dated back to the day when they died.
Yeah, but it's actually with the person that's in the vehicle. It's almost like a table. If the person's known to be in this table, then the person and the table might show up, but I can't see the table showing itself.
But that's what I'm talking about.
How many times have we been in places where gallows have been seen and ropes have been seen that aren't there, that have been used to hang people? So no, you're right. I don't know. This is the whole paranormal question. I don't understand. I don't understand how. Does it have to have a heartbeat to have a spirit?
Absolutely.
This is where it gets confusing, isn't it?
And there's always point. If you go, some religious belief is that animals don't have a soul, therefore they can't have a spirit. And yet, if that's the case, how can people see demon dogs and and animals
and pets and they're known and stuff? So.
Yeah.
That's the whole broad aspect of this paranormal ridiculous thing that we kind of keep investigating and not really getting anywhere with. We should keep trying. That's all we can do.
It's probably something we'll never ever get to the bottom of.
I think you're right.
I don't know. I disagree. I think we probably will get to the bottom of it one day because there's some
in our lifetime.
Probably. You look at what's happened in the last 50 years. Technically, what's happened in the last 50 years, and you look at what happened in the next 50 years.
We'll be sat here.
You're talking about technology there.
Technology that will probably be able to pick up things like, because you can't measure. There's nothing you can put in this. There's no cameras you can put in this room to measure energy. Okay, we can do thermal imagery. We can see where heat sources are, and we can see the drafts are. But one day someone will probably have some sort of camera that will measure specific energy. And you will be able to put something in the room and see if there's any energy ball there. and then walk through that energy ball and say, actually, I feel a bit weird. And that's maybe what spirits are. Maybe just the energy of dead, not so much the spirit, but the energy of the dead that's still flowing around, because energy carries on.
Because, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, there's nothing out there to measure energy at the moment.
But we don't know whether we're going to get in the future, so it could potentially be there. But we haven't got a clue. I mean, I hope it does happen in our lifetime.
You imagine somebody inventing a device which views things on a different level, on a different plane, as it were, and you just point it into a room, and a totally kind of benign, room like this, and you point the camera and you see dozens of figures that you can't see.
Well, it's funny because I've kind of had this. We talk on a certain level, on a certain audio level that we can hear. Dogs, I mean, you've got the dog whistle where we can't hear it, but dogs can hear it. Now, you wonder whether somehow, if there is another plane, whether if you get the level right, you might be able to hear better. So it's almost like recording something at a high level and then bringing it down. It's something Yvette's been trying to pioneer for ages and ages and ages now. She's on the right track. It's sound that will bring this. But what I'm thinking of is you look at like cameras, as I say, they do 25 seconds and 25 frames a second. But that's only 25, that's a load of shots. What we see is still a load of photographs added together
basically
to make it look smooth. What's between the two photographs that we're seeing? If we're seeing 1 million frames a second, what's happening 2 millionth of a frame?
Oh, so you're still talking about what's in the middle of that?
What's in the middle of those two things? And maybe, just maybe, we slip over and we just catch the odd little glimpse of that, and it takes a couple of seconds for us to get back into where we were. And that's what a ghost is. It's another time frame happening at the same as we're here, but we just hit it wrong.
Well, there has been reports, and I've seen photographs as well, and I'm sure you all have, where someone's taken a picture and say, have a look at that, what do you think? And there's been a child in the distance, or a man in a uniform. Is that what you're talking about? Is it just pressing the button at the right time?
About what we see, because what we see, even though we're looking around us and everything is smooth, right, we're still seeing a certain amount of frames per second. Because we're taking up pulses of information to our brains, and if that sparks like 100 images a second or 1 million images a second, I don't know what it is. It's probably a lot more than that, but say 1 million images a second. Then 2 millionth of a second could be slotted in between those.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and just one, it's like deja vu. You've got this, the scientists say deja vu is, it could, it's basically one eye, the information coming from one eye to the brain, slightly quicker than the other eye. So even though it's a microsecond quicker, not enough for you to see two images, but enough for you to go, I've seen this before.
Absolutely.
It's only because your brain's already got that information first, a millionth of a second first, and then this one's doing it. You wonder whether, if that sort of motor neuron things can happen, then you go, oh hang on, I might see what's between those frames. I might not like it, or it might be a ghost, and they might be doing the same.
The interesting thing is, with you saying that, Carl, is that when I actually saw the man that I saw, I was actually taking a photograph. And it was in a pitch black room, and I wasn't really pointing the camera at anything, and I took the photograph, and the flash lit up the room, the corner of the room, and it was in that split second that I saw the man in front of me.
It's like a strobe effect, isn't it?
Yeah. And also, we've tried using strobes as well, actual strobe machines, because I've heard a lot of reports of people actually seeing things when the strobe light's been on as well. So I don't know if that might...
because that's again looking in between the frames.
Yeah.
It
slows things down, doesn't it?
And I don't. It's the bizarrest thing, because we're looking at everything as it is, and we're not potentially not looking around it. It's like a light source. I keep on thinking about time travel, and time travel is we see time travel on a daily basis. When you look up into the sky, you see a shooting star that actually happened maybe 1 million years ago, but we're only just seeing it now. So we've looked into the past, because that happened 1 million years ago. So if you could enhance light as a travelling purpose, therefore you can go back in time. You have to be able to do it, because that proves the fact that fact, we're only seeing it a million years later because it's taken a million years for that light to get to this Earth. If you could travel faster than that, it'd never get to you, so it would always be there. So therefore, you could constantly travel back in time. I wonder whether somewhere in the future they've actually got this method of enhancing light, and their little spaceships that we see today are just their ways of their little things that they have to sit in to come back and look at us in time. They can't actually interact. That's why they don't land. I mean, okay, there's the abduction thing, but maybe the abduction thing is they pick one up every now and then just to have a look and see what our health is like in this day and age. And the other thing is like bending light. You know, there's points where they say you can see a planet that's actually behind another planet, so you shouldn't be able to see it. Therefore, light can be bent. And once light can be bent, therefore it can be manipulated. And I am really getting too deep into this.
But it's interesting, though.
Yeah, but that's
Interesting to hear that.
I know lots of time travel and stuff, but there are things we don't understand in this realm. And like the paranormal, we don't understand the paranormal. We don't understand. Maybe it is stuff slotted in that we don't know. Maybe it's absolutely nothing. Maybe it is just the dead. And the other thing, are we overcomplicating it? What, you know, should we just be saying, oh, people die, they have a spirit, some of them stay here, some of them go somewhere else, and some of them stay here, and that's what we should be looking for. And that's the hard question about all of it. So, if you had the opportunity, would you do a time slip experiment, or do you think time slip experiments are a waste of time?
No, I'd have a go. I'd try it.
You would? Phil, what would you do?
I'm not sure about it. I don't think it makes too much difference, but I'd try the experiment, I suppose.
Just to see what happens?
Yeah, see what happens.
I think because of the conversation we've had, I think it'd be a bit rude not to now, wouldn't it? I mean, if the opportunity came around, let's have a go at it,
It would be a bit rude not to.
Absolutely.
Let's say goodbye, because we've run out of time again. So, Sarah, Phil and Stuart, thank you very, very much for coming in, and I can't wait to see you guys again. Join us again soon on the next great unexplained debate. I forgot where I was again. See you next time. Bye-bye.